So we are going to have our next networking session.
Okay.
And that is for next 1 hour, starting from now until probably 2 p.m. And this is about sustainability partnerships, right? And that, so we have some panel members who will make present, and then after that, we will have, of course, questions and discussion. So if you recall, the last, where Dr. Rajan Singh emphasized that we have to sort of connect with the community and society if we want to make major differences, or if we want to sort of make change in direction of sustainability. So, the idea is that without networking and without connecting with and also who are working in ground like different non-governmental organizations, we can probably not make a difference in ground in yeah, sorry, there was I think um, connectivity issues. So I was saying that the emphasis or the idea about these networking sessions is that our center, Dr. Kiran C. Patel Center for Sustainable Development, should have a wider outreach or wider reach where we know people who are working in ground, and we can extend our partnerships and networking with these organizations. And also the other objective is that there are a number of different organizations who are participating in this sustainability fair today. They should know each other and they should be able to connect among others. So we have basically four panel members today, and let me introduce them. So we have House of Sasavade, we have Anshuman from TERI, we have Dr. Shashikumar from Karnataka Water Resources Management Center, and we have Cassius Castellino from Swissnex. So these are four panelist speakers. So Dr. Bhaus of Sasavade is branch manager at Metrohm Peak, based in Houston, Texas, and he has been involved in the business development of his organization and also held positions in CIPLA. So thank you very much, Bhausabji, for joining us today in this networking session. And Ansuman is from TERI, which is the Energy and Resource Institute based in New Delhi. And he has been working in the water sector since last several years, and currently serving as a member of Technical Advisory Committee of National Institute of Hydrology under the Ministry of Water Resources. So thank you, Mr. Ansuman, for joining us for this networking session today. And Dr.
Sati, glad to meet you all.
Yeah, Dr. Shashikumar is from Integrated Center of Water Resources Management, Karnataka, and they have been doing some really interesting work in terms of water management in his area under the leadership of his own center and organization. So welcome, Shashikumar ji.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
And finally, we have Cassius Castellano from Swissnex, and he has been involved in public policy, urban transportation, and he has had previous experiences with organizations like WRI, or World Resource Institute India, World Bank Institute, Gateway House, and he has worked tremendously on energy and electrical mobility and developed leadership programs in these sectors. And he belongs to Consulate General of Switzerland, and he's also co-founder of future foresight India. So I would like to welcome on behalf of our Sustainability Center and also IIT Gandhinagar to all of you, all four members today. So how we are going to have this session, every member I would request to sort of make a short or brief presentation where you would highlight your success stories or what your organization does, and this would help our audience today so that if they find the overlapping areas, they can easily connect with you, or we can help them to connect with you. And So maybe you can spend like 5 minutes for this presentation, and once all these four presentations are over, we will have some questions from audience, or I will initiate the discussion around some important aspects related to sustainability in the area of renewable energy or energy and water management. So thank you everybody, and audiences, please stay with us. This is going to be probably one of the most interesting sessions, and I think you will get tremendous opportunity to connect with all the panelists and have a very successful networking. Thank you. Yeah, so may I request Bhav Sahabji first, please, if you can make your presentation. If you have slides, you can share your slides. If you don't have slides, you can probably just, speak for 3 to 5 minutes, and then we can take it from there.
Okay, very good afternoon to all of you, and we are very much thankful for IITs and all the participants to given us an opportunity to have as a under the networking portion to have an interaction and also present who we are and how we are dealing and also contributing to the society, and how we are helping towards to the scientists and the research to make a more innovative and go to the safest way to the public and the nature. So what Metrohm actually, we are dealing a lot of article instruments in this market, and Metrohm is a Swiss-based organization. We have a sophisticated instrument for I can say environmental analysis. Not only environmental, but wherever the quality and trace level analysis comes in the picture, the Metrohm plays a very important role. So no doubt, when we talk about the environment, there are three major portion comes in the part. First is our air, water, and soil. So when we talk about these three fundamentals, so there are many of the minerals or the metals are come in the questions. Okay, whether it's good to the humans or the bad. So the part comes in the important. So what Metrohm provides a very sophisticated instrument for this particular analysis. Whether the analytes or I can say the minerals or metals in the trace level, up to the I can say parts per trillion level, or in the parts per billion, or few are in the percentage or in the milligram level. So that kind of analysis will be taken care by the instruments. Now, Metrohm, what we provides, generally we provide as a ion chromatography and voltammetry as the instrument, which will helps to do the analysis of all kind of anions or I can say cations, as well as the heavy metals. Up to we can do the analysis with the parts per trillion level. No doubt, when we talk about this analysis, this will be regulated by the regulatory bodies, either EPA or the DIN or IS, BIS. These standards are available, and with these standards, there are some SOPs being given. So we follow that SOPs, as well as we try to provide the maximum information with the help of our instruments. So that is what we have placed in India. We have almost 12 branch offices in India, and we, as to the our nation, we have almost supplied 12,000 instruments in India. So no doubt this not only going to the research, but it also goes to the private organization wherever the quality control department plays the role. So this instrument also will be helpful for the trace level impurity profiling as well as the purity studies. So this is what our contribution to the organization. No doubt in IITs or many of the research institute in India, we have a very good installation base, as well as we have a very, means not only as an installation, Metrohm always works to the satisfaction of the scientist, or I can say to the organization. So here we try to give us the complete solution to the organization. So we recently, I will give one example. Recently, we have supplied our instrument to the IITM, where the weather monitoring will be done. Now there was a big question comes as why fog comes, and because of the fog, there are the huge impact on our economy. There are a lot of flight delay, travel delay, as well as there was a lot of changes in the weather. So to identify what exactly in the fog, what kind of the droplets has which kind of the ions or heavy metals or gases present in the fog. So we have given a very good instrument which 24 by 7, 365 days it works. It is an online analyzer which can take the air, convert into the liquid and do the analysis. So we also have worked with the central government and given these devices, and they installed it in the aircraft. They go to the certain height in the Yamuna river, and they trap the air, convert into the liquid, and do the analysis. So that kind of also instrument we have supplied to the government to do the weather monitoring. So this is what as a small scenario I can present in front of you. So I'll again thanks for the IITs for giving an opportunity to present ourselves.
All right, thank you very much. And I think measuring or and monitoring is extremely important when it comes about the decision making in the direction of sustainability, right? So I think your organization is playing a very important role. And as we are moving forward in time, we are looking forward cheaper sensors and instruments that can provide us real-time information of our electricity use, water use, quality of water, air quality. So, I mean, we cannot achieve sustainability without efficient measurements. So definitely, I think there would be many more people who are attending this session. They would like to connect with you, but we will have more if there are specific questions and during the discussion time. So I will. So thank you very much, Bahusad ji, and
Thank you very much, Dr. Saab.
attending this. And please stay with us. Don't leave
Yes,
this.
sure, definitely I'll be with you
Until we finally close this session, entire session. So now I would like to invite Ansumanji, who is from TERI. So Ansumanji, do you have slides or you want to just speak without slides? You are muted, sir. Please unmute yourself.
Thank you. Maybe I can share a few slides if it is okay with you.
Sure. I have made all of you co-hosts. So if you have slides, please go ahead and share.
I hope you can see the slides now.
Yeah, just make it full screen, please. Yeah, that's fine. Thank you.
Right. TERI has been in the forefront of sustainable development and efficient water management. And there are a huge number of areas that we work on to provide solutions, policy recommendations, as well as on-ground implementation of these solutions, be it IWRM, water quality studies, or wastewater management, including recycle and reuse, water use efficiency. We do a lot of water audits, based efficiency improvement, a lot of intervention that we do with the local communities on drinking water and sanitation. And we do a lot of water conservation activities, as well as activities related to urban and rural water supply and demand management. So all of these are areas that we work on. We have monitoring stations. We use monitoring stations, at the Himalayas to look into the mountainous water management as well. So just to walk you through the journey and the experience in water sector, and these are also areas where we can potentially collaborate and we can provide services. We do a lot of scientific tool assessment based, in integrated water resources management, in various areas. So a lot of watershed and micro watersheds that we evaluate and assess. Scientifically, we use them to design on-ground implementation of several interventions on water conservation or rehabilitation, etc. So, for example, what you can see is artificial recharge of groundwater. We do modeling activities to identify what is the best suitable intervention for a particular location. Whether it is subsurface intervention or it is a surface intervention, what kind based on the hydrogeology, etc. So these are scientifically evaluated, design and interventions which we collaborate with the local communities on ground to implement it, in collaboration and in priority of what they actually would like with. So likewise, on the water conservation, we have a lot of activities on rooftop rainwater harvesting, agri-water interventions, pond rejuvenation, sanitation, provision of toilets, etc. So all of these are part of the IWRM activities that we not only scientifically design, but also implement along with the local stakeholders on ground. A lot of activities that we do is on water use efficiency. We do a lot of water audits of industries, cities, and help them improve their specific water consumption and reduce their water consumption overall, and help them identify various interventions within their processes and opportunities for recycle and reuse of water. In fact, we are also now moving towards technological innovations towards not only just wastewater treatment and reuse, but also resources recovery. For example, how we can have energy generation or nutrients recovery from the wastewater itself. So all of these are something that we have been doing for quite some time. For various entities, we have looked into the possibilities of recycling of wastewater. Railways is one example, but we are working with various other entities, industries to provide these kind of solutions. We build the capacities and we provide water demand management interventions in the city level. So a lot of municipalities who require assistance on improvisation of their and integrated improvement in the water service delivery. We help them with the water demand management interventions of reduction in NRWs, non-revenue water leakage losses, financial management, institutional capacity development, etc. We work with the rural folks and on the ground, for provision of drinking water. We also sensitize the local community, on health and hygiene, as well as aspects related to drinking water quality. We have tested our hands on provision of drinking water through water kiosks, something that we engage with the local community and give them that capacities to not only understand the importance of safe drinking water and sanitation and hygiene, but also giving them this capacity to run the systems on ground over a period of time. We as at the other end, we look into the river basin based assessment of impact of climate change on water resources. This helps the government and the entities to look into the potential risks and potential impacts, and how we can actually look into the adaptation options and interventions which are both policy and otherwise that could be taken up to be better prepared to respond to the challenges of the climate change. We have monitoring stations at the glaciers as well, and we do a lot of research on that. As I said earlier, we do continuous water management. We have a fair bit of infrastructure that we use for provision of a lot of this training and capacity building. We have a fair bit of instrumentation, including of Metrohm, which we use on for various monitoring of water quality and quantity. And we do a lot of outreach activities. We bring a lot of institutions and stakeholders at various levels to come and share the information and their experiences and best practices to have a wide scale impact on the benefits of the best practices and technologies or policies altogether. So these are some of the things that have been very brief that we do in terms of where we can work towards. All of these areas have a specific, let's say, focus where we can actually collaborate. We can provide our services. For example, as I mentioned in the IWRM, we can look into the hydrogeological, aspects of, water availability and quality and impact. And based on that, design interventions which can be in collaboration with the local stakeholders or grassroots people, basically implement on ground. We have done a lot of such activities. Just to mention, recently we have finished a project of pond rejuvenation in Punjab and Rajasthan, wherein we engaged with the local community and scientifically designed and rejuvenated the ponds. Shall I say ponds? They were actually just a wasteland. Actually, the ponds which were actually converted into wasteland over a period of time. So we rejuvenated that. So such kind of activities we can do very much in collaboration or for entities who are looking for such kind of solutions. I mentioned about the audit and reuse efficiency. So a lot of cities and ULBs that we work with, we establish the water balances, identify leakage losses, design the interventions which can save the water. Also, the kind of technologies or let's say or treatment options for recycle reuse as well as resource recovery, as I mentioned. In some cases, we have taken up water footprint assessment as well to move beyond the industry into their value chain and help them assess the overall impact and also how they can reduce the footprint over a period of time. We also help in identify the benchmarks. For example, what could be the best scenario which will be not only undertaken by a particular industry or an entity, but also can be further emulated or maybe learned from and can be followed by others in the similar sector or similar practices. On the wastewater recycling and reuse, as I mentioned earlier, there are a lot of possibilities. We are working towards a lot of models of how we can have low-cost membrane, treatment, and as well as recycle and reuse. I mentioned about resources recovery, and TERI itself has some of its technologies based on nanotechnology as well as low-cost membranes, which we are trying to look into where we can actually use them and have a benefit of low-cost treatment of wastewater. Provision of drinking water, I mentioned about that. We do a lot of interventions on sanitation as well, design and implementation on ground of provision of household toilet and community toilets. We have done this. Besides drinking water, we also have sanitation intervention. In fact, we have done a lot of provision of toilet to the local community on ground under the Swachh Bharat mission and helped several entities to, and villages in rural Bengal and various other parts of the country in basically assisting in provision of sanitation facilities. The urban water demand management, I mentioned a lot of monitoring and evaluation, technical evaluation, technical, financial, and institutional evaluation, shall I say, help the ULBs to improve their water service delivery, and also look into the better investment options into what could be the short-term and long-term investment proposition for having the best, let's say, optimized water management over a period of time. Conservation activities I talked about. We do a lot of activities, let's say, research and assessment-based policy recommendation, as well as identifying the adaptation options for impact of climate change and water resources. We do a lot of vulnerability assessment as well. And a lot of these activities that I mentioned, we also hold training and capacity building programs, outreach programs through various campaigns, sensitization, and customized training modules for various kinds of stakeholders, be it middle level organization, middle level officers of a particular organization, or top level administrative,
Sumanji, can I think you have any?
Yeah, I think this is my last slide. So just to mention that these are the areas that we could work. So that's it.
Yeah, so thank you very much. I think you are meeting both ends, starting from technology development to ensuring community participation. When we talk about water management, it cannot happen without active involvement of people. And so your organization has been successful in involving community, which is, I think, which is extremely important when we talk about any of areas related to sustainability or sustainable development. So Ansuman, thank you very much for this nice presentation. And I think many people will be interested to get connected with you, and several organizations who want to work in these areas or who are already working at different levels related to water management, water audits, water conservation, designing rainwater harvesting systems, and so on and so forth. So now I would invite Dr. Shashikumar, who is from Water Resources Management Center from Karnataka, Government of Karnataka. So Shashikumar ji, if you have slides, if you want to share a few slides, please upload them. And
okay, thank you.
Please use
thank you, sir.
Next 4 to 5 minutes to share your success stories or what kind of work your organization is doing, or how we can collaborate. I mean, how our center and people participating today's fair, they can collaborate and we can work more efficiently in a synergetic manner. So please.
Thank you very much, sir. Am I audible?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Sir, I have a short presentation. I'll share my screen. Is my screen visible?
Yes, it is. Please make it full screen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it fine? Yeah.
Yes, that's fine.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, sir. First of all, I want to thank Professor Vimal Mishra for inviting us to be part of the fair organized by IT Gandhinagar. And we also have an exhibition stall where we have put some of our materials. I will request people to go there and also check some of the materials available. So talking about the sustainability fair, we wanted to see in this particular panel discussion what we are doing right now at Karnataka, especially at our organization. Our center, the Advanced Center for Integrated Water Resource Management, is one of the unique setups, think tanks set up by Government of Karnataka to provide guidance, knowledge, and best practices in water resource management for the state. And as we also talking about the sustainability issues today, we just wanted to focus, though the Karnataka I'm showing here in the map, there are multiple sub-basins. The major basins are Krishna and Kaveri. And this about geographically, it's about 191,000 square kilometers. And one basin which I'm highlighting here, sub-basin, is Tungabhadra, and which is about 70,000 square kilometers. So when we talk about water management, we are talking at a very different scale. And our river basin is a very big scale. And also these buzzwords, what we hear about water scarcity and water management and sustainability is there are various indexes which shows that there is a lot of issues, etc. And these are the words not just used in our national level, at regional level, but also at the global level. So what is the current status of this? So though we are talking about all this, what has happened in the past and what is happening currently, the current status is like most of the, though as I showed the geographical area, this water management is largely managed by the government. So it has been the last 60, 70 years or 80 years or so. It has been the way we have operated since the beginning. So largely the resources are managed by government. So which obviously leads to the question like, I mean, it is very centralized, the structure is very rigid, and it's also almost always supply driven. And if you see the large infrastructures, the dams, canals, drinking water, especially the drinking water, everything is with the government domain. So the groundwater, though to some extent, we are allowed to have our own borewells and wells, and so far, even that domain also, people have been over exploiting it. And so largely the government and the public, we are trying to balance. So that is the status. We are trying, though we are talking in many words about the scarcity, this is the way the whole things have been moving forward. So these are all the challenges. So from our organization point of view, the challenges we see is in managing water, the multidisciplinary nature of the work, the water resource management. It is not just the water. We need to have the social aspect of it, the economic aspect of it, the river environmental flows, which is required, and the river itself is to be protected, and the forest has to be protected. It is a multidisciplinary thing. We realize that importance of it. And beyond that, we also see that it's an interdepartmental work, because though we talk about water as one department, I mean, in Karnataka itself, there are at least 15 to 18 different departments who are stakeholders to water management broadly at the state level. So there are various departments who are. So how do we bring them together? How this multidisciplinary nature and this interdisciplinary nature to bring together, and how to use them for the beneficial use itself is a big challenge. So the participatory nature, how to make the people participate in that, farmers participate in that, and various stakeholders of this water, how to make them participate. That is also a big challenge. So what is the way out? The way we see from our organization, we want a lot of meaningful partnerships. We don't think just government alone can do no, the sustainability part, and we need a lot of partnerships. We also need partnerships with a lot of NGOs. We partner with many NGOs who can bring many best practices to a scale. I mean, to not a big scale, to a small scale, and we will try to see how to scale it up and see what are all the issues and challenges in that. And obviously, the academics has a very important role in this thing, and the research and also the guidance to do many of the modeling aspect, etc. And obviously, the participatory thing where we want a lot of farmer groups and farmer water resource or cooperative societies to be partnered with us, to be going ahead. We want to collaborate all of them. So this is what we do at the HAR. This is my last slide. And we have designed one of the river basin planning for Tungabhadra Basin, which is about 70,000 square kilometers. And this is conceptualized, and we have planned, and also we are in the process of implementation. There's a huge work where we try to bring multiple departments to come together. And this is, again, it is at the planning level, and we have our plan set, but we need to go for a cabinet approval and go further to see that how to be implemented in them. That's a big challenge. It's not an easy thing to do. As a part of this, towards this, the data collection is becoming very important. And so we have designed something called the Karnataka Water Resource Information System. It's a portal where we collect a lot of information, and whether we have enough hydrology monitoring network stations in the state. For that, we also have a program, Hydrological Observation Network Rationalization. We see whether there are enough stations to meet the need of our state. And we also see a lot of climate studies, water accounting, water productivity, capacity building of our department engineers, etc. It's a routine process. And the departments we are involving: agriculture, groundwater department, minor irrigation, watershed, the rural development, Panchayat Raj, energy, rural and drinking water, fisheries, horticulture, industries. These are all our stakeholders whom we try to involve in all the aspects of our work. And we also collaborate with our universities, VTU here in Karnataka, IIC, IIT Delft, eWater Australia, EVA New Zealand, and IIT Gandhinagar. Recently, we have been in touch with Professor Bimal Mishra for a project to be done. So this is to say that these are all the things we can do towards, I mean, when we work with our organization, and these are all some of the works we are carrying out. Thank you.
Yeah, so thank you very much, Dr. Shashikumar ji, for this nice presentation and information. So, I mean, this gives us a very good example. If you see last three presentations, right, how a government organization is leading the way in terms of managing water at different spatial scales in Karnataka, then how a private organization is working on building up sensors that are required to measure the water levels, other weather related information, and then how another educational organization, TERI, is sort of developing a framework, integrated framework on water management involving community. So, I mean, this is the sort of example that if all these 3 or 4 organizations, if they work together, probably they can learn a lot from each other. And the center like us, our center, Sustainable Development Center, can act as a cluster to build these partnerships. And of course, we are always glad to work with other organizations across the country or beyond. So now, last but not least, I would like to invite Cassius Castellano, who is from Swissnex. So Cassius, over to you, please.
Yes, thank you so much. Can you hear me? Am I audible?
Perfectly.
Audible? Okay, great. Thank you so much. Yes, thank you so much for having me on this platform. And this is a great initiative by IIT Gandhinagar, and I really appreciate it. So let me just quickly run you through our initiatives in the energy focus area at Swissnex India, which is the Science Consulate of Switzerland in Bangalore. So basically at Swissnex, we have 4 focus areas, namely deep tech, medtech, science for society, and energy. And I lead projects in energy, electric mobility, and urban policy for Swissnex India. Okay. So, what we do at Swissnex, we bridge connections between Switzerland and India together with the Swiss Federal Office of Energy. So, if we have Swiss startups, SMEs who want to do business in India and they are bringing a relevant product for the Indian energy ecosystem, which we feel can work in collaboration with the Indian stakeholders. Now, the stakeholders can be government, academia, as well as industry players. We facilitate that collaboration. Of course, we enable tech transfers and knowledge exchange collaborations as well between Swiss academic startups and innovative companies from the clean tech sector. And we try to build capacity in the energy domain. And the third point, uh, our main objective is to support and provide guidance to Swiss clean tech ecosystem players and probably curate opportunities and joint ventures between the right players in India and Switzerland. These are some of the programs where we've had successes. The top 6 programs which I thought I would mention here today, and I'll run you through them. So Clean Tech was an energy program which we ran in 2018, which was basically a group of 6 startups and 6 researchers from Switzerland in the clean tech sector who were looking for joint research collaborations and joint ventures with Indian industry players. And these were all energy and clean tech startups. We set up B2B meetings for them with industry players. We set up B2B meetings for them with government players with the government as well, and also we facilitated a few academic to academic collaborations between India and Switzerland through the Clean Tech Week. And we also had parallel sessions at Intersolar on BIPV and solar rooftop with one of the delegates, Professor Pierluigi Bonomo. And as I mentioned, we curated B2B platforms for the visiting delegates. We also took them to Bangalore International Airport and we showed them the solar plant powered by Sunshot Technologies. And currently there is a project which is ongoing between a couple of Swiss startups in collaboration with Sunshot. And other B2B platforms were curated for delegates in Bangalore, Pune and Mumbai through facilitated interactions with relevant companies. The next relevant project was E-Mobility Tech Week, which was which we did in 2019, where we tried to again get Swiss startups in the e-mobility sector. And again, we facilitated industry collaborations. We connected them with relevant e-mobility startups in India and also academics in the electric mobility sector. We also had a meeting with the Automotive Regulatory Authority of India, ARAI Pune, as well, to get some insights from them if our Swiss startups wanted to to streamline the process of market entry for our Swiss startups. So these are 2 of the success stories out of E-Mobility Tech Week. So Electra EV, which is an initiative by Dr. Nilkant Kumar, who is a postdoc researcher at ETH Zurich. He's working with local collaborators and he's already started his research project on understanding the feasibility of electric 2-wheelers over conventional IC powered 2-wheelers. So his research is already underway and we facilitated that collaboration for him. The second success story was Green Motion, which is a charging station manufacturer from Switzerland. And he has partnered with Electra EV, which is based in Coimbatore, to manufacture chargers indigenously. So we facilitated this joint venture for Green Motion. And this is another interesting event which we facilitated on green financing with Federal Councillor Her Excellency Ms. Simonetta Sommaruga in October 2019. And at this event, there was an MOU signed between SUPSI, which is the University of Applied Sciences and Arts in Switzerland, with CSIR to establish knowledge exchange, research partnerships, and lead to concrete collaborations in the future. We organized meetings with the energy sector experts from CEW for the clean tech delegates who were part of Ms. Sommaruga's delegation. And we also organized a visit to the solar installation again at the International Airport at Bangalore and ABB Innovation. Then we also had the Hydrogen Technologies Workshop in December 2019, hosted in collaboration with ARAI in Pune. We hosted two Swiss experts, one SME called H2 Energy, which is looking to do business in India, and they manufacture fuel cell trucks in collaboration with Hyundai Motors. So they were looking at the feasibility of their products for the Indian market. We also hosted Dr. Andreas Zutel, who is one of the foremost authorities in hydrogen technologies in Europe. And he's based at EPFL in Switzerland. And he did a lecture at IIT Bombay, which was hosted by the hydrogen department. And he brought about his solutions. He addressed a few pressing questions which the department had. And we are looking at the possibility of him working on a joint research project with IIT Bombay. Yes, these are some of the pictures from the event. And these two delegates were also part of a workshop which was organized by the Indian Oil Corporation in Bombay. Lastly, we also hosted Grid Tech Week just before the pandemic in March 2020 in Delhi. We established a connection with the Department of Science and Technology with the objective of looking at innovative platforms in the energy sector. We organized an industry knowledge session. We had a Swiss roundtable as well. And there was a session at the embassy with the Shakti Foundation's Associate Director for Clean Power and Programs, Mr. Vivek Sen. And Hive Power has already started their market entry process for India and is collaborating with local industry players. Yes, so this is in brief, this is the work we are doing at Swissnex India. We are trying to curate partnerships, build research capacity, and academia to academia collaborations, relevant academia to academia collaborations. We also provide knowledge on the available funding opportunities in Switzerland. And we also have a few research collaborations which we can facilitate and highlight and bring across to the right energy ecosystem players in India. And they can explore these research opportunities with Swiss researchers. And I will be a contact point for such collaborations as I lead the work on energy and urban transport for Swissnex. Yeah, and these are our social media channels as well. Yeah.
All right, thank you very much, Cassius, for your nice information and presentation. So I have a question, do you also provide a small funding to organizations if someone wants to conduct any event or networking event sort of, or any outreach activity? So is there any possibility to provide you small grants for these activities, or your organization has some provisions for that or not?
So basically, we don't provide grants directly, but if they fit within our focus areas and energy, which is a big focus area for Swissnex over the next 3 years at least, we can, if there are any kind of promotions which need to be done, we can do that. However, if you're looking for for collaborations, research collaborations, we can bring about the grants which are already available, and we can leverage your product or the solutions. Maybe if you have a research proposal which you want to work on in collaboration with Swiss researchers, we can definitely facilitate that kind of collaboration. And there are grants which are available, which is open and which are given out by the Swiss National Science Foundation. So we can provide you access to those grants definitely, and we've done that in the past. So academic to academic collaboration, academic to industry collaborations can all be facilitated by Swissnex.
Sure. Thank you so much. And I think we would be interested to sort of get connected with you in future whenever to learn more about the possibilities on academia to academia collaborations, or academia to industry collaborations, or the grant opportunities that is coming from Switzerland or Swiss embassy. So thank you, Cassius. And I request everybody, all audiences, if you have information and if you want to get connected with Swissnex, you can always communicate with them directly, or you can use our center as a platform to sort of get you connected with his organization. So now all four speakers have presented. So I will sort of start a discussion and questions if there are any. Okay, there are some questions. Um, there are some general questions, and then there are some very specific questions to organizations. So I can see, I mean, first of all, I mean, one problem or one major challenge when see, we all know that what works or how we can conserve and manage water, but actually we don't make it happen. So, or we can say it doesn't happen so easily when we go on ground and practice it, right? For instance, we all know that rainwater harvesting, groundwater recharge, these are the pillars of sustainable water management. So, any idea, any thoughts like why water or when it comes about water management, why these challenges are there and how we overcome these challenges? So, anybody can speak. Please unmute yourself and
So
speak.
maybe I can respond to start with briefly.
Yeah.
So as you rightly said, I mean, the technology and the options for, how you can do it does exist, and it's very well understood. I think the real challenge is how you, provide that missing connectivity, to the people who are wanting to do it on ground. And that's where a policy instrument, a capacity building program and an outreach has to be at a level where the technical solutions are put across in a simplified manner, engaging with the, people on ground, so that they are aware about, firstly, they are aware about how it is to be done. And two, they are able to access those, solutions, or be it technology or be it a model, to implement it on ground with some kind of assistance structure. At times what happens, you provide the rainwater harvesting, design, you implement, you come off, and it gets choked because there is no O&M, operation and maintenance. So I think those, framework of how we extend the connectivity of, implementation is very critical as far as such, programs are concerned. We have, experience in our case, for example, when you engage with the local communities, especially when you are implementing, groundwater recharge, or, let's say I mentioned about pond rejuvenation and rainwater harvesting, interventions. When you connect with the local community and engage them in the process, right from the start of, designing of the project, there's a better, assurance of sustainability. So I think it's very important that besides the technological innovation, and the, awareness about it, it's very important that it reaches the, level where it makes an impact. And I think that's where the real mass scale critical mass impact is something which is missing at the moment, will actually play a good role.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree, because if you talk about India's water problems, right? So you cannot ignore agriculture. Agriculture is so because about 85 to 90% associated with agriculture at farm level, right? So other challenge is that since in India water is not valued. I mean, in economic sense, So water is free commodity. Everybody feels that they have very strong right to use as much as water they want to use for their own activities, be it agriculture or residential water use. What is your opinion? I would like to take your opinion that if we say like water is more sort of a socio-political problem rather than technological problem in our country. At least I'm talking about in Indian context. Because let's say you want to change scenario in agriculture, then you have to think about the subsidies we are giving to farmers in terms of electricity. Then you will have to think about regulations on groundwater use, right, or groundwater pumping. Then you will have to think about regulations on the cropping system, on market or MSPs for different crops, minimum support price. So then once you start thinking of all this, it becomes very political. And even if you go and connect with the community, if you want to make a difference at a river basin scale or a state level or a regional scale, like talk about Punjab or in a Gangetic Plain where water crisis is happening, groundwater is depleting. So since it become political, then people sort of decide to stay away, and then most of the time we work in a very very micro level through different organizations, NGOs. So the key question is that until unless we figure out a sustainable solution of this socio-political problem, the water scenario in India is very difficult to be changed. I mean, of course, you can improve water use efficiency at your household level. You can have efficient toilets, efficient taps, shower heads, but that is nothing if you compare the water is being used to cultivate rice, right? 1 hectare rice. So, what is your thoughts? I mean, how I feel it a big nexus, and it's very difficult to sort of hit this problem because of this very complex structure of the problem. You can make a huge difference at residential and commercial water use efficiencies, no doubt about it. But even if you do that, the scenario of water scarcity in the country or at a regional scale, state level may not change. So, anybody wants to say something on this? Dr. Shashikumar, would you like to speak about it?
Yes, sir. Thank you. I think you touched upon a larger and very important issue. And at our organization and at the state, we are looking at different ways of addressing the challenges and also to communicate to the people, relevant people. One of the things is on this water productivity. We are all aware, and we also, I mean, most of the communities also that the productivity is in terms of yield, in terms of the tons per area, hectare, etc. And in fact, we have been trying to tell the government as well as various departments, including the agriculture department, like you said, agriculture is a major user of the water, to look into terms of the yield per volume. So it's not in terms of area, but in terms of volumes, like how much has been produced per meter cube of water. So that has been very interesting thing. In fact, more than we thought, people have been very welcoming about this. Departments have been very welcoming about this. Agriculture department itself is trying to see that in the coming days, it is not just about the yield, the productivity, but in terms of water. So this is a kind of a thing, the concepts which we need to bring down to the people level, but first at the department and then at the to the community level, etc. So we are trying to formulate how to communicate this to the farmer level, in their language, how to, it's not just communicating, it will also make it useful for them. We are not just saying that you have to use only so much water, but we are also saying that this water has to be equitably distributed, and the way you use water is more. Don't use so much water. There is somebody else who needs the same water. They can also produce something, they can use it for their living. So there's a very delicate balance, but we're trying to do that. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And we are running out of time.
Yeah, I just add quickly,
yeah, just maybe 10, 15 seconds.
Surely. I mean, I just wanted to share our experiences on this. So again, carrying forward to what I said, we just finished our project in Punjab. You mentioned about Punjab called Pani Bachao Paisa Kamao. It's a program which is by the Punjab government, and along with the World Bank and other agencies is being taken up. Now, what I'm trying to tell you is maybe there's no one-size-fits-all solution, but you have to look into what are the possibility for a particular location. In this particular case, what we did was we exposed the local farmers in a demo farm on what kind of interventions, including technologies and best practices, actually can be done, compared that with their normal practices into different farm sizes, and gave them over a period of time, in 2 seasons, what are the kind of benefits you accrue, both crop productivity, reduction in water consumption, etc., and energy saving. So when they saw this, they were actually, quite interested into. So I mean, we saw into saving of around 20% or something. So these are the ways, I mean, one can look into, and the transition will happen over a period of time.
Ansuman,
Valuing water.
Ansuman, the next session moderators are already waiting, and I'm sorry to stop you, but one thing I will conclude this session by saying that since water is a very complex problem, we need to network more and we need to connect so that we can understand at all level who is the better suited to solve that problem. So thank you everybody for joining, and if you don't know me, my name is Vimal Mishra. Please email or I will get you connected through the Sustainability Center. Thank you once again. Bye-bye. Take care.
Thank you, Mr. Vimal. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Vimal, and all the panelists of the previous session.